Hello and welcome to another episode of Wheel of Horror, the podcast where two best friends spin a wheel every day leading up to Halloween and discuss it. Today we're talking about 2009's Zombieland, which was directed by Ruben Fleischer. I'm your co-host, Alec.
Oh, I'm Eric. Just kidding, it's Justin filling in for Eric.
Oh, I really thought Eric was here.
I know, right?
I was like, Eric, I thought you were gone for a couple days, but okay. Welcome back, Justin. What's going on?
Oh, not much. Just watching some Zombieland.
Cleansing your palate of 13 ghosts with a little Zombieland?
Yeah, it was a hard taste to get out.
This is a fun movie, dude. This is just fun.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters when we were like 19 when it first came out, and I don't think I've seen it since.
Oh, I've definitely watched it. I want to say at least 5 times.
Yeah. Do you see the sequel too?
I did. It's good. Not nearly as good though.
Okay. Yeah, man, this is like a transitional period for like zombies in the zeitgeist of just like the media and stuff back then. Like this was right before Walking Dead. You know, this was like the year before Walking Dead. It's like right after Superbad and like Adventureland and Shaun of the Dead. So it's kind of this like weird period where zombies weren't like this. I feel like for the past 10 years, zombies just like ran shit. And this was kind of the beginning of that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of my favorite zombie movies, and I think it does a great job of mixing action and humor, which not a lot. I mean, there's like Shaun of the Dead, but
yeah,
which is kind of like this. But other than that, I mean, 24 hours later,
28 days later,
28 days later,
24 hours later,
28 days later, Dawn of the Dead. I mean, this is up there with some of my favorite zombie films.
Yeah, I mean, this one's very different than the ones you just mentioned, obviously, because it's a comedy. I mean, it's similar to Shaun of the Dead, but the reason that I like Shaun of the Dead a little bit more than this one is because, like, that's the beginning of the outbreak, and, like, they don't really know what's going on, and it's kind of played for laughs. This is, like, we're thrown deep into, like, months or years even after the zombie outbreak's happening. So they are very different. So if you like Shaun of the Dead and you want to see kind of, like, what would have happened, this is kind of a good place to go.
Yeah, this is just like the American version of Shaun of the Dead.
Right. And I wanted to ask you, because they don't really talk about this. This movie doesn't really do, like, and it's not like a bad job of it, but they don't really talk about, like, the world and, like, what's going on and, you know, all this stuff. They do say that it was caused by mad cow disease, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. But do you think if there was a real zombie outbreak in America, do you think it would actually spread to the rest of the world?
You know what? While I was watching this, because I literally just finished it, I got, like, certain answers prepared because I knew you'd say something like, what would happen if this really happened? Like, do you think...
I don't sound like that.
Yeah, no.
Really happy if this really happened. That's not how I sound.
Do I think it would spread? I mean, probably. I think there'd probably be some remote islands that would be fine. But even if you have, like, one infected person on, like, a ferry going to, like, Martha's Vineyard, that whole island's fucked.
Yeah, because it's not like COVID where it's like, okay, you can spread it, but, like, you know, it's obvious people aren't turning into zombies. But, like, New Zealand, you know, I was thinking, like, places like that, or, like, Tasmania or Madagascar, you know, like, island countries. I think they'd be okay. I really do.
I don't know, man. I mean, all those countries still got COVID, even though, like one day on the news, they'd be like, New Zealand's literally not infected at all. And the next day, they'd be like, 38% rise overnight.
Right. That's the thing, though. It's just like, if it's like just a disease you spread by coughing, it's a little different than like somebody that's bloody and running at you dressed like a clown. Like you'd be like, all right, let's not let that guy on the plane. But yeah, it's a funny movie, and it really is like the beginning of Jesse Eisenberg's career, you know? And I kind of wanted to ask you about him. What do you think it was in Hollywood where they were just like, we don't want Michael Cera for this. We want like a basically alternate version of Michael Cera.
Dude, it's funny you say that because I was literally thinking while I started it, dude, what's his last name? Jesse Evans?
Eisenberg?
Jesse Eisenberg, him, Michael Cera, the dude who played McLovin. Like,
oh, yeah.
Hollywood went through this phase in like the mid-ish 2000s where they had like main actors that were like kind of like nerdy, dorky guys, like socially awkward dude. And I don't know why, it just like worked. Like, and then obviously they have Woody Harrelson as like the tough macho dude, other half. But I think Jesse Eisenberg did a great job. And I think his kind of like awkwardness made this movie like stand out.
Well, he's kind of like, he pokes fun at like the stuff of like I feel like Woody Harrelson's a character out of like a '90s action movie, and he's kind of like Jesse Eisenberg is like able to kind of make fun of him and like point out his flaws or whatever, and that's kind of like a 2000s thing where everybody got like snarky and sarcastic and just like self-referential and but.
Dude, when he said he looked like Yosemite, saying I laughed out loud, dude.
Yeah. I mean, they're a funny dynamic. You know, you like that whole character of, like, he's taken under his wing, and this is kind of like this redneck, alcoholic, gun-toting guy, and then this, like, very safe, cautious kind of guy. And yeah, it's a funny dynamic. It works.
Dude, the beginning.
What about it?
Amber Heard. When she came in, I was like, I completely forgot she was in this.
I did, too. This is, like, right before her career.
In my head, I was like, what a piece of shit. No pun intended.
Oh my god! Now every time you see her, you're just like, yeah, they should put a warning before this movie.
Dude,
Heard's in this.
If you pull down your pants and squat on your bed and poop on your bed, you can't just like people don't forget.
Apparently not. Yeah.
Like we're gonna be like 60 or something, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, Amber Heard passed overnight in her sleep," and we're gonna text the group chat like 60 years old, be like, "Remember when she shit in Johnny Depp's bed?"
I wonder if she shit in her deathbed. Yeah, I know. Probably. Well, no, it doesn't help that her last name rhymes with turd. It doesn't. No, but that's like low hanging fruit. Oh, come on, you've heard that.
I know.
It just doesn't help. It doesn't help her case. But
I know.
Anyway. But that was a fun scene, you know, Amber Heard and all that aside. Like that was like the scene where she like attacks him. That's where he discovers that's what a zombie is. Mm-hmm. You know, that was kind of nice to see like a World of Warcraft red Mountain Dew Code Red drinking pizza eating guy. Like I don't know, we weren't those guys, but I like those kind of guys.
Yeah, I feel like when Eric saw that scene where he was drinking Code Red eating pizza, he'd be like, "Oh yeah."
He's like, "Oh yeah, dude. Back when there's only 2 flavors, I remember that.
Code Red."
Yep, dude. That was before they introduced Baja Blast and Citrus Thing. And
I mean, dude, you've had Code Red, right?
Yeah.
Dude, drinking Code Red, like I remember as a kid, it would like hurt my throat because the acid was like ripping my skin off. I was like, it's good.
Yeah, Mountain Dew is pretty gross. But I liked Code Red because they like paired it with Halo 2. Or no, it was Gamer Fuel, the Mountain Dew Gamer Fuel. And it was like Halo 3. It's like, if you're playing Halo 3 and not drinking this, you fucking suck. You're like, all right. Like, shit. And then you drink it and you think you like get better at the game. Like, yeah, I remember those days. So it's nice to see that. This was kind of like a reminiscent film for me. Like a lot of nostalgia. Because I mean, like, this is old now. It's like 12 or 13 years old.
I know. I didn't realize it was 2009.
Yeah. You know how I knew it was 2009? Fat shaming. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, yeah. That won't happen anymore. But I mean, they're technically right, though. Like, if a zombie apocalypse broke out, the people who could not get away fastest would be eaten first.
I mean, yeah. That's just like, yeah. It's very obvious. That's exactly what happened. You know, a couple things about this movie, though, that I did as a comedy, so they're not obviously going to play up the realism or whatever, but, like, they didn't, when they were in the grocery store, they just go looking for Twinkies, and they didn't take any other food with them when they leave.
Dude, there was so much food in there. Like, when they went to the grocery store, I saw in the back left, they had a full box of Ritz crackers, and I'm like, that's, like, easily a couple of days worth of food, and they had all this stuff, and I was thinking to myself, like, I think if this really happened in real life, there would be no food because I don't know how things were out in LA, but when like COVID was at like its height here, it was hard to find non-perishable food items. Like I remember going to the store, just, you know, my weekly shopping trip, and I'd go to get some pasta because I'm Italian. And
of course, yeah.
There was like literally no boxes left. And I'm like, who the fuck's eating all this pasta? And then it dawned on me that people are buying like 30 boxes at a time to save up. And I'm like, I just want pasta for dinner. Like,
yeah.
So
well, I remember, I mean, they got rid of this now, but out here they had like you can only buy 2 of these per day or whatever, so they like were rationing out what you could buy. But you'd think in this movie, it's like if you're in a zombie apocalypse, you'd be like, all right, we got a pickup truck or whatever, we got a big truck, throw a bunch of shit in the back, not just even the snowballs when they get the Twinkie truck. I'm like, dude, take a couple of those.
I would take literally everything.
Yeah, I don't know what they're so like. There were little things where like The Walking Dead comes out the next year, and they're obviously like, we got to go on a supply run, and that's like a whole episode. So you're like, okay, but this one was just kind of like it was for fun. It was all fun.
Well, getting back to the beginning, this got a 7.6 on IMDb.
Wow.
And I don't know if you noticed this, but in the beginning, when he stopped to get gas, right? Mm-hmm. He got out of his car. It was locked because if you remember, he tried to open it and then dropped the keys because he was fumbling. But then when he got in the car, there was a zombie in the back seat. How did it get in the back seat if it was locked?
I don't think it was locked.
Remember, dude, he put the key in the lock and tried to turn it, and he fumbled it and dropped it. So how did it get in there?
I maybe missed it, but I thought what happened was the door was always unlocked. He left the door to his car unlocked. Then he went to go put the key in, and he like missed because he thought it was locked, but because he did, you know, he's following his rules. So he goes and he's like, fuck, I don't, and he drops the keys because he can't get it into the actual like lock or whatever. But it was already unlocked, and there was a zombie in the back.
Okay, so let's say hypothetically it was unlocked.
Yeah.
That means from the time he got out and walked to the door to take a shit, a zombie came in, opened it, sat down, and closed it.
Right. That's why this is a comedy. Like,
it doesn't make sense.
No, and then if this was like 28 days later, people would be like, that's bullshit. But in this movie, you suspend your, disbelief because you're just like, it's fun. We're having fun. There's text on the screen following them as they run. It's fun. So, yeah, but that's the thing. So, I mean, I don't think you can look into this movie too much for, like, realism of zombies. But I mean, whatever that sentence means. But if you're like trying to like look at like a survival thing, this is more of like the popcorn, bubblegum, just we're having fun kind of movie.
Oh, yeah. And it does a great job because, like I said, there's plenty of good action. I like his little, like, nervous, awkward rules that he has that he's used to survive. Yeah. Because you wouldn't think someone like him who just plays computer games previously would survive in this event.
But, it's kind of weird because I was thinking about it, like, in a weird way, zombies specifically, not like if there was like a real like apocalypse, but like zombie apocalypse, people that play a lot of video games might have a little bit of an advantage. Like if you love The Walking Dead, if you love zombie movies, if you love zombie video games and all that stuff, you might think outside the box a little bit.
That's true.
I'm not saying you'd be better, but you might think outside the box a little bit more than the average person that doesn't. I don't know. But also, this movie really did remind me so much of these, like, awesome, fun, co-op zombie video games, dude. I mean, brought me right back to, like, remember, like, Left 4 Dead?
Yeah, Left 4 Dead was incredible.
Yeah, and this is kind of like the Left 4 Dead movie, almost. Like, you get your 4 teammates, you've all got your specialties, all these different zombies in different environments, like, and it's just like an arcade game. It's just fun. That's kind of what this movie was for me.
I also like when Woody Harrelson and Jesse meet on the highway, and they both are holding their guns to each other, and then Jesse like awkwardly sticks his thumb out for hitchhiking, and then he looks at his thumb. Like, it was just, I don't know why I found that so funny.
Well, it's just very clearly defined characters right from the start. I mean, you can see Jesse Eisenberg shaking with the gun, and then, Woody Harrelson's just like, okay, this kid's not a threat, get in the car, sort of thing.
Right.
But I wanted to ask you, and I might have missed this, so we've got Wichita, Tallahassee, Columbus, and Little Rock. Are they all named after where they're born or where they're from or going?
I think it's where they're from.
Okay. I would have liked it better if they were like where they were born. Because like if you and I, let's say like we met up, it's like, oh, where are you from? It's like, we're both named Hartford. And like that would have gone weird. But if we're saying where we're born, where are you born, Justin?
What? Why would any of that matter?
Because if we're following the rules of the movie, where were you born?
If we're following the rules of the movie, I would be Manhattan, I guess.
Okay, that's cool. You're like a gargoyle guy. That's cool.
I suppose. Yeah.
You're Manhattan. I'd be New Britain.
Oh.
They call me New Britain. Yeah, so you all right? Yeah, because I feel like Hartford's kind of a cool name. If your name was Hartford, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, like having it as a name, not living there, obviously.
No. But what would be like the worst name you could be like? That's Salt Lake City.
That'd be a long name to like. If there's an emergency and you have to scream for somebody.
Salt Lake City, get over here.
I don't know.
New Brunswick.
That's
New Brunswick. Because you have to call them their whole name. You can't just say that. Las Vegas.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I feel like Reno's a cool one. Like, I've heard that one before. Texas is just, like, fun. Again, everybody's Texas. Brooklyn, there's always the Brooklyn. But I like how they mix it up. Tallahassee, that's a random. But it sounds good on Woody Harrelson.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is very, very Woody Harrelson at, like, his finest, I feel like. Just Southern, drinking, wearing a cowboy hat.
Yeah, I loved it. Like he had so many funny one-liners. Like when he said, "Who's Bill Murray?" and then